Okay, so, I'm making this video because I found myself starting to unfriend and block people. Not something I've really done for any reason other than maybe a woman being a little too more exposed than I'm able to handle. And I really don't like, speaking publicly about things that are very intimate to me. So again, I'm from North Minneapolis, born and raised. I've had many encounters with the police. I've lost loved ones at the hands of the police. There's never been any monetary return that I know of to the ones closest to me. Rest in peace, Q the Blacksmith. There for sure have never been any convictions, right? And I'm a law school, business school guy, so if you tell someone to count on something or to trust something, you at least have to try to acknowledge that if those results never happen, there's actually grounds to not have trust. But I was trying to think, what's a good way to share during this time, not to people that understand. What's understood doesn't have to be said. But for those who don't understand, which I feel like is the large percentage of people talking and commenting right now. So I was thinking of an analogy. So say you're walking and you see a person on the street that appears to be without a home, meaning they've got belongings out there. Their attire and dress looks as if maybe they've spent an extensive period of time outside, and they're asking for change, asking for money. And you walk up to the person and you say, "Hey, so how'd you get into this position?" And you begin to interrogate them. Now, this is all under the auspices that you're intending to give money, but you want to make sure this isn't someone faking it. So you interrogate them. You ask them about this. How'd you get here? Well, why don't you call your parents? Well, why don't you get a job? Or why don't you this? Why don't you that? Could you imagine that you're not the first person who did that to that person? Imagine people have been doing that to that person all week, up and down the street. Now, to me, what's the point of that analogy? The point is, to each their own, I'm never telling anybody what to do. But if things are being done, quote unquote, from a place of trying to understand, then it becomes less about what you understand and more about what the person stands in need of, And I find that, there's many that are so inhumane in understanding the plight of another human being, presuming that the way that they've experienced life gives them the expertise to guide another in how to respond to different challenges in life. And it's just so hurtful because A, it's not effective. B, it only greater drives a wedge. And C, you're actually putting a greater burden on the individual that now has to try to figure out how to not break at this moment or how not to turn you into the outlet of their frustration or rage. So I've never found myself speaking up on women's rights issues from the standpoint of what women need to do. I'm not a woman. I support women's rights issues and those who drive that. But I for sure don't critique or try to analyze or provide the proper solution to things which I don't understand intimately. So I think it's insulting right now. Well, it's not even insulting. Whether people know it or not, they're showing who they are and what they believe. For example, even when the paramedics see a guy bleeding, yeah, they may ask him some questions, but in a lot of ways, I think it's just to keep him talking. But they're applying, life-preserving, life-saving treatment. Not, well, sir, we'd like to help you, but first we have a few questions. Like, either help the guy or get out of the way so somebody that's trying to help him can. So if you've never had someone killed by the police, I'd say you don't get to speak on how someone should respond to that. If you have not yourself and others been excessively policed by police, then maybe that's a conversation you sit out. And if you want to have opinion, then learn from those who have, and then share the opinion that you just heard. I'm in Israel right now, and it's taken, everything in me to stay where I am, to continue to go to yeshiva and learn, because certainly there's other things on my mind and heart. But to those, and again, I'm not even a big Facebooker, but between social media and whatnot, to those whose pages I can see and come across, I want you to understand, if you see that you're blocked or whatever, I'm not even trying to talk about it. Like, it's better for you that way. And I hope for others that aren't even that close, you can really think, like, in a moment of tragedy, do you want to make it about yourself, or do you want to make it about those who are in pain, in distress? So not only have we been dealing with police brutality and police killings, now much is dealt with corona, the loss of economic means and viability. Like, are you thinking that the reaction of things is going to be like, I don't know what, come on, guys. And I don't even know who this is for or who will see it. But if you're coming from a spirit of trying to understand or have compassion or show support, just do that. Don't try to turn into the expert or the counselor. Even lawyers largely say, this is not to be confused as legal advice. And they went to law school. They sat for the bar or whatever. So for people to try to give social or whatever advice, if that's not your profession, I'm telling you, sit this one out, because the receipts will be seen. And for sure, these are life-changing moments that are upon us. And I really want everyone to stay safe. So please, if you're trying to be helpful, be helpful. Do not fan flames of pain. And if you've got an opinion, write it down in your journal and wait 30 days and see if you think that thing is still valid. Because there's a lot of people who I'm not interested in ever speaking again now that they've shown me how they think and view situations.